إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء، واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم، ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن الأصدق الحديث كتاب الله. For surely the most truthful of speech is Allah's book, the Quran. وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم, and the best one to guide the people to the most perfect understanding and to the most perfect application of what Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala sent down in his book is his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَشَارِ الْأُمُورِ مُحْدَثَاتُهَا, and the most evil of affairs are those newly invented matters that the people have introduced into this deen. فَإِنَّ كُلَّ مُحْدَثَةٍ بِدْعَةٍ, for surely every newly invented matter in this deen is an innovation. وَكُلَّ بِدْعَةٍ دَلَالَةٍ, and every innovation is on a pathway leading astray from Allah's path. وَكُلَّ دَلَالَةٍ فِي النَّارِ, and every pathway leading astray from Allah's path is in the hellfire. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says in the Quran in Surah Al-Waqi'ah verse 8, فَأَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَيْمَنَةِ, on the day of resurrection there's going to be a group of people resurrected who are Ashabul Maymana, those fortunate, devoutly obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal and to his messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Ashabul Maymana, companions of the right hand, who will be given their book of deeds in their right hands on the day of resurrection. It's collected in Sahih Muslim that a man asked Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Ara'ayta idha salaytul maktubat?" Do you think that if I perform all of the 5 daily Islamic compulsory salat, wa sumtu Ramadan, and if I fast every day of the month of Ramadan, wa ahlaltu al-halal, and I treat everything that is Islamically permissible as permissible, wa haramtu al-haram, and if I treat everything that's Islamically forbidden as forbidden, وَلَمْ أَزِدْ عَلَى ذَلِكَ شَيْئًا أَدْخُلُ الْجَنَّةِ, and I do not increase upon that by doing anything of the voluntary Islamic deeds, will I be permitted to enter into paradise? قَالَ Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Naam, yes. This is the basic Muslim. Ashabul Maymana, the companions of the right hand. Disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal is Islamically forbidden, and they treat it as forbidden. Disobeying Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam is Islamically forbidden, and they treat it as forbidden. So they will be given their book of deeds in their right hand on Yawm al-Qiyamah, because they are going to enter paradise. And that's exactly what a Muslim is. The Muslim is the one who is devoutly obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal and to Allah's Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is clear in the Quran, in verse 14 of Surah Al-Hujurat, in which the believer is distinguished from the Muslim. قالت الأعراب آمنا. The wandering Arabs say, we are believers. We are the people of Iman. Qul, Allah Azza wa Jal commanded His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to say, Lam tu'minu. You are not believers. Walakin qulu aslamna. But rather what you should say is, we are Muslims. We have converted to Islam. وَلَمَّا يَدْخُلِ الْإِيمَانُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. But Iman has not yet entered into your hearts. وَإِن تُطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ لَا يَلِتْكُمْ مِنْ أَعْمَالِكُمْ شَيْئًا. But if you are devoutly obedient to Allah Azza wa Jal and to Allah's Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, then Allah Azza wa Jal will not allow the least of your good Islamic deeds to go to waste. Inna Allah Ghafurur Rahim. Verily Allah is the most forgiving, the most merciful. Surah Al-Waqiyah, verse 9. وَأَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ مَا أَصْحَابُ الْمَشْأَمَةِ. And the companions of the left hand. How unfortunate are those who will be given their book of deeds in their left hand on Yawm al-Qiyamah as a disgrace for them, because they are going to enter the hellfire. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Jinn, verse 25, وَمَنْ يَعْصِ اللَّهَ وَرَسُولَهُ فَإِنَّ لَهُ نَارَ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدِينَ فِيهَا أَبَدًا. And whoever is disobedient against the commands of Allah Azza wa Jal and the commands of Allah's Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then verily for that individual is the hellfire to dwell therein forever. And then Allah Azza wa Jal informs us about another group of people to be resurrected on Yawm al-Qiyamah who had pledged their allegiance to Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and had devoted their life to fulfilling the Islamic agenda of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam: jihad, sharia, khilafa, al-wala wal-bara, amr bil-maruf, wa nahi anil munkar, wa kafir bitagut. والسابقون السابقون أولئك المقربون في جنات النعيم. Those are the awliya of Allah, the forerunners brought near to Allah Azza wa Jal. They lived their life seeking nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal by doing the obligatory Islamic deeds, plus they did the voluntary Islamic deeds, and they avoided the forbidden deeds, and they also avoided those deeds that are mutashabihat, in which there's a difference of opinion to whether it's halal or haram. They are al-muqarrabun, the fortunate believers who are granted specific nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal. Thullatun min al-awwalin wa qalilun min al-akhirin. A multitude of the muqarrabun, the awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal, will be from the earlier generations, and very few will be from the later generations. May Allah Azza wa Jal help us to be from the muqarrabun and His awliya. Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala describes who among us are His awliya in Surah Yunus, verse 62. Ala inna awliya Allah la khawfun alayhim wa la hum yahzanun. Indeed, the awliya of Allah, no fear shall be on them, nor shall they grieve. Alladhina amanu wa kanu yattaqun. They are the people of Iman, and they are the people of taqwa. Lahumul bushra fil hayat dunya wa fil akhirah. For them there is good news in this life and in the next life to come. Alladhina amanu wa kanu yattaqun. The awliya of Allah are the true believers, and they are the sincere, pious, devoutly obedient worshippers of Allah Azza wa Jal and followers of Allah's Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Wali is singular for the word awliya. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 257. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu. Allah is the wali of the people of Iman. Yukhrijuhum minan dhulumati ilan nur. He takes them out from the darkness and places them into the light. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا أَوْلِيَاؤُهُمُ الطَّاغُوتُ. And for the disbelievers, for the kuffar, their awliya, they pledge their allegiance to the false gods, the false authorities who give you rights, who give you freedoms to disobey Allah Azza wa Jal and to disobey Allah's Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. يُخْرِجُونَهُمْ مِنَ النُّورِ إِلَى الظُّلُمَاتِ. They take them out from the light and put them into darkness. أُولَٰئِكَ أَصْحَابُ النَّارِ هُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ. They are the dwellers of the hellfire, to dwell therein forever. They are the companions of the hellfire, to dwell therein for eternity. Surah An-Nisa, verse 76. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. The people of Iman fight to make Allah's law the law of the land. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ الطَّاغُوتِ. And the disbelievers, the kuffar, fight for freedom and democracy and taghutiyya. فَقَاتِلُوا أَوْلِيَاءَ الشَّيْطَانِ. So fight against the awliya of shaitan. إِنَّ كَيْدَ الشَّيْطَانِ كَانَ ضَعِيفًا. Verily the plot of shaitan is weak. The opposite of wala is bara. The opposite of allegiance and alliance is disassociation. And Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala in the Quran gives us an excellent example to follow in practicing the Islamic al-wala wal-bara, and who we are Islamically required to disassociate ourselves from. Surah Al-Mumtahina, verse 4. قَدْ كَانَتْ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, there is an excellent example for you to follow. Oh, you who believe the Quran, how grateful are you to Allah Azza wa Jal for giving you an excellent example to follow. Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 152. Allah Ta'ala says, فَاذْكُرُونِي أَذْكُرُكُمْ. Remember Allah, and Allah will remember you. وَاشْكُرُوا لِي وَلَا تَكْفُرُونَ. And be grateful to Allah, and don't be kuffar. قَدْ كَانَتْ لَكُمْ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ فِي إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَالَّذِينَ مَعَهُ. Indeed, you have an excellent example to follow in Ibrahim and the believers who are with Ibrahim, alayhi salatu wasalam. إِذْ قَالُوا, when they said, لِقَوْمِهِمْ, to their people, إِنَّا بُرَاءُ مِنْكُمْ. Verily, we make bara from you. We disassociate ourselves from you. وَمِمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ. And we make bara. We disassociate ourselves from whatever it is that you worship besides Allah. كَفَّرُنَا بِكُمْ. We reject you. And we reject every pagan holiday and celebration that you believe in. We do not believe in your satanic freedoms. We do not believe in your freedom of religion. We do not believe in your democracy. وَبَدَأَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةُ وَالْبَغْضَاءُ أَبَدًا. And what has began between us and you is enmity and hatred forever. The word awliya and wali come from the root word of wilaya, which means alliance, loyalty, friendship, support, sympathy, and empathy, which we only have for Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and for the true believers, the awliya of Allah. In this excellent example that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us to follow is the word adawatu, hatred, enmity, animosity, and hostility. Is the direct opposite of wilaya. The awliya of shaitan are the enemies of the awliya of Allah. The allies of shaitan, the supporters of the satanic agenda and the satanic mission, are the enemies of the awliya of Allah. So Allah Ta'ala commands in the Quran in Surah Al-Fatir verse 6, Inna shaytana lakum adu, fattakhiduhu aduwa. Verily the shaitan is an enemy to you, so treat the shaitan as an enemy. إنما يدعو حزبه ليكونوا من أصحاب السعير. He only calls his companions, his group, his party, so that they will be from the companions of a blazing fire. And the excellent example that Allah Azza wa Jal gave for us to follow, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam and his sahabas said to their people, وَبَدَا بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةُ وَالْبَغْضَاءُ أَبَدًا. And what has began between us and you is enmity and hostility and animosity and hatred forever, حَتَّى تُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ وَحْدَهُ, until you believe in Allah and worship Allah alone. Oh, you who believe the Quran, who's ready to be the awliya of Allah? Who's ready to follow the example, the excellent example of Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam that Allah Azza wa Jal gave us to follow? If you are the awliya of Allah, then Allah Azza wa Jal will go to war for you on your behalf against your enemies. It's collected in Sahih Bukhari, a Qudsi hadith, in which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah Azza wa Jal said, Man adali waliyan faqad adhantuhu bil harb. Whoever shows hostility against my wali, I have declared war on that individual. وَمَا تَقَرَّبَ إِلَيَّ عَبْدِي بِشَيْءٍ أَحَبَّ إِلَيَّ مِمَّا افْتَرَضْتُهُ عَلَيْهِ. And my servant does not draw near to me with anything more beloved to me, more beloved to Allah Azza wa Jal, than those things that Allah Azza wa Jal has made compulsory upon him to do. The basic Muslim seeks nearness to Allah Azza wa Jal by fulfilling the basic Islamic compulsory requirements. وَمَا يَزَالُ عَبْدِي يَتَقَرَّبُ إِلَيَّ بِالنَّوَافِلِ حَتَّى أُحِبَّهُ. And my servant does not cease approaching me by doing those voluntary acts of worship after fulfilling all of the obligatory acts until Allah Azza wa Jal loves you. فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يُبْصِرُ بِهِ وَيَدَهُ الَّتِي يَبْتِشُ بِهَا وَرِجْلَهُ الَّتِي يَمْشِي بِهَا. And when Allah Azza wa Jal loves you, when you are the muqarrabun, your desires and your cravings are only for what Allah Azza wa Jal is pleased with. You love looking at and listening to and touching and going to places that which is pleasing to Allah Azza wa Jal. And you hate those places that Allah Azza wa Jal hates, or looking at or listening to what Allah Azza wa Jal hates. And you hate going to those places unless you're going on the Islamic mission of commanding the good and forbidding the evil. Surah Al-Hujurat, verse 7. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ حَبَّبَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْإِيمَانِ. وَزَيَّنَهُ فِي قُلُوبِكُمْ. That is because Allah Azza wa Jal has made the Iman, the Islamic faith, beautified, beloved to you, and beautified it in your hearts. Was وَكَرَّهَ إِلَيْكُمُ الْكُفْرُ وَالْفُسُوقُ وَالْإِسْيَانَ. And Allah Azza wa Jal has made kufr hated by you, and made disbelief hated by you, and made disobeying Allah Azza wa Jal and His Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam hated by you, and made committing sins hated by you. Ulaika humul rashidun. That is, if you are rightly guided. Fadlan min Allahi wa ni'mah. And it's a bounty and a grace from Allah Azza wa Jal. Wallahu alimun hakim. And Allah Azza wa Jal is all knowing on who to bestow His ni'mah to. And Allah Azza wa Jal is hakim. He is all wise in His decision. May Allah tabarak wa ta'ala fill our hearts with iman and taqwa. And may Allah tabarak wa ta'ala help us to be the muqarrabun of His awliya. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. May Allah tabarak wa ta'ala help us to see the truth and help us to follow the truth. And may Allah tabarak wa ta'ala help us to see the falsehood and help us to avoid following the falsehood. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم.